All right, everyone, I'd like to give a quick shout out to Gateway Materials in Lewiston, Idaho. Through this whole project, that's where I buy all my steel from. Steel's expensive no matter where you get it from, but those guys always take good care of me. They always make sure that, my stuff gets delivered. They're 64 miles away, and they deliver up here every Wednesday. They make sure that I have it, and they treat me good on pricing. So anyways, just a quick shout out to them, and yeah, I couldn't be building this thing without everything from them. Just like this order here, that's a lot of money. This stuff here is very expensive. A quarter wall, 2-inch DOM, expensive. I texted them this morning, said, hey, I'm coming to town. I need this stuff. I got a text back about half an hour later. Hey man, this is your total. We'll have it ready for you. That's service. That's great service. Hey everybody, welcome back to the shop. Today we're going to drag this front axle out and start cleaning it up. I'm not looking forward to it. That's a lot of cast to cut and clean, but needs to be done. I got my link bar tubing, I've got all my link ends, and I'm getting closer to where I can start putting axles under this thing and doing suspension. So got to get the axles cleaned up and ready. So I think better focus on that this weekend. I don't have all the parts I need for doing suspension anyway. So that's what we're gonna do. Watching on YouTube, there's a lot of people that have videos on how you clean these things up, how you get rid of all the cast stuff. I mean, that whole section has to go. They're all using Sawzalls to do it. And, I have a Sawzall, I have some new blades for it. Got a grinder and cut and wheel. I borrowed my buddy's Portaband. I think the Portaband is gonna be pretty helpful. So hopefully that works out, and I can do this a little bit cleaner and faster than the videos I've watched. All right, now it's out in a little better light, you can see. So I got to cut off this whole pedestal and across. I got to cut off this one's actually steel and not cast, but that whole ring that holds the sway bar and the shock and everything. This coil spring mount has to go underneath. It's hard to see, but there's a great big chunk of cast down in there too. So all that stuff has to go. This side being steel is a little bit easier to cut. Might get the torch out, we'll see. Like I said, I'm gonna use a Portaband on a lot of it, hopefully it'll fit. I'm hoping that jaw or that throat is big enough on it. So anyways, yeah, lots of cutting in my near future. I better just get started on it. This project sucks. I get why those guys are taking 2 days to clean one up, because that's what it takes. There is no good angle to get in on anything with any tool. So you have to make a lot of cuts to get a little bit of metal off. This pile is already getting deep and we barely even started. Oh well, we gotta do it. Get this thing cleaned up. The rear is easy, so I'm not worried about it at all. And then I think I'll be ordering all my mounts probably today. Hopefully I have them next week. One of the mounts that I need, the 4-link uppers from Barnes, is sold out right now. I'm just waiting for those to come back into stock, but I can get everything else coming. So, all right, everyone. I just want to throw this out there. If you're gonna do this project and be stripping an axle like this, get a respirator. I haven't been wearing one for the last hour and a half, 2 hours, and I've just realized how heavy my lungs feel. This stuff, even though I'd use the grinder a little bit, but most of it was Sawzall and Portaband. A lot of that stuff goes aerial. I can't believe how much dust is coming off of it. So get yourself a respirator, be smart, wear your PPE. I know I always used to look the other way, but man, I'm pretty religious about using it now. We're gonna try some of the stuff that's welded to the axle is steel. So I got the torch out. I'm gonna try and torch some of this stuff off. Torch and cast doesn't usually work too well, but we'll see. I'll try and scarf some welds and clean this up as much as I can that way, and then we'll go back to using the other tools. Welcome back, YouTube world. 10 hours of grinding later, we got our Dana 60 cleaned up for the most part. I left the arms on there because I got tired of the knuckles, or I always get tired of the knuckles falling side to side when you rotate it. That keeps them a little bit sturdier, but yeah, we got her cleaned up and ready for mounts. Pretty excited. I didn't film most of that because honestly, nobody wants to watch somebody grind for 10 hours straight. So what I did that I haven't seen a lot of people do was I used a Portaband there's only a couple of spots that you can use it, but how fast that thing cuts through cast is ridiculous compared to everything else. So it does actually save you a lot of time. The other quickest cutter is a cutting disc on a grinder. That cuts really fast. And then the Sawzall, it's slow, but it gets you into more places that you can't get into with the others. So those 3 tools in a lot of time, a lot of making relief cuts. Oh, and a hammer. A lot of relief cuts, and just start beating it with a hammer, and you can fracture that cast and get the pieces off of there. So it works. And like I said, I think I'm 8, 9, 10 hours in. Yesterday had something come up, kind of took me away from it, and I didn't really keep track of time. So yeah. That's where we're at on that. The rear, all that there really is to do to clean the rear up is cut the leaf spring perches off, but those are actually a really nice point to measure from when I go to set these axles in and set my wheelbase and everything. So I'm actually gonna leave those on until I actually have all of the rest of the suspension mocked in place, holding it there, and then I'll cut those off and clean them up. Depending on when I build a truss and all that stuff too. So anyways, yeah, the front axle's cleaned up, ready to go. The rear, it has to wait. I got the stuff to build links, I just don't have the mounts, so that's kind of holding us up. And of course, when it comes to mounts, Barnes 4-wheel drive, they are sold out of all their rear triangulated 4-link mounts on both styles that they offer. I'm on their waiting list, but I see they're sold out of a lot of stuff right now. So hopefully they get caught up. I'm sure with all the hurricanes and everything, that put them behind a little bit. Supply chain, I'm sure, was shot from that. hopefully they get their stuff and they get back up and going 100%. I can get those ordered. They have everything else I need, but those two mounts are pretty crucial and they do not have them. So, all right, everyone. Well, I thought about ordering 3-link and 4-link mounts, and I think what I'm going to end up doing is I'm just going to build my own. All the Barnes kits, they have 9/16 holes in them. There's some older Barnes, it's like a smaller bodied enduro joint. I bought those. They're still new, but they're quite a few years old. Guy used them for mock-up. Anyways, but they have a 5/8 bolt instead of a 9/16. So I'd have to re-drill all their mounts anyway, and if I'm going to be drilling holes, I might as well just drill some plate and build all my own stuff. So I think that's what I'm going to do. I've got quite a bit of quarter thickness 3-inch and 4-inch flat bar, so I can build a lot of this stuff. I probably won't be able to get it all. I might not have enough material for that, but might as well get started. I'm just sitting here kind of waiting, and that can keep me moving. Yeah, nice thing is, I still have the templates for the rear 4-link uppers, or frame side. So these are off of my 46 Willies that I used, and I can fit 5 holes in those. So, and I might even be able to extend them up and give a little bit more. But those will get me started. All right, we're gonna get started on making these. Let's make some tabs to put on the axles. I gotta do 4 sets for the lowers, front and rear. So actually I could close that up a little bit, I guess. All I did was I found 3-inch flat bar, 3-inch hole saw to get the outer radius, and this was the same diameter as my axle tube on the rear. So I just used it, but I think I'll bump that back to where I'm not wasting as much material. Yeah, that's all we're gonna do is we'll just lay all the sets out, and I'll probably end up cutting them out with just my cutting torch, because those angles on 1/4-inch thick material, that's hard to cut with a flap wheel. So anyways, that's where we're gonna start. Really? I had to run out of oxygen with 3 cuts left. That sucks. Well, after lots of grinding, we have plates. We'll get those tacked on tomorrow, and we'll start building on other ones. Hopefully we can get most of our mounts built tomorrow. It's a slow process. Doing it all with a torch and a grinder. I don't have a plasma. Well, I do, but it doesn't work right now. I need some consumables for it. All right, today we're going to continue on with our mounts. Oops, blocking the screen there. So this will be our front axle upper 3-link mount. So I just kind of rolled around under there with some cardstock and got myself a shape. There'll be 3 or 4 holes drilled in that. I'm not sure yet. So 2 identical plates, and then we'll probably bend them at the base for strength, and then we'll figure it out from there. Have ourselves a backer plate and everything on it. So that's the shape of that. Yesterday I got all the lower axle tabs cut and drilled and everything. So today we're going to work on the upper axle stuff. I don't have a full day today because I have to drive 4 hours this afternoon, and I start my new job tomorrow. So got a little bit of time this morning, and then I got to start getting ready for that. So we'll get done what we can get done, and it'll be here when I get back. This is going to take a minute. Trying to drill a 3 5/8 hole through a 1/4-inch plate. This will take a long time. it took a while, but we got our 2 side plates. And then, like I said, I'll probably bend them right here and kick the bases out a little bit. And then I'll have to make another template to put across the front and the back. And we'll piece those in for strength, for lateral strength. So, yeah, we're cruising. Okay, let's see if I can do this down here. So we're on the passenger side, and these are gonna sit, I gotta do a little grinding on that obviously to get it to fit down better. They're gonna sit about like that. You know, the bases will be tipped a little with the uppers being straight up and down with each other with a bunch of holes drilled for adjustability in them. So that's where these are going. I have to kind of hold it here in place, but that's what we're going for. Still got to put the bends in down low and, you know, build a cover plate for that side. A little bit of cover on the back side. We'll plate this and this, but we can't plate this because the link goes through there obviously. But yeah, we got that mount. We got our lowers. I can probably tack all these on the front. And then I got to start working on the frame side mounts. So I got to figure out what I'm going to do there, but I think I will. I'm really limited where I can put stuff on the driver's side of this Dana 60. I'm probably going to have to modify. And I know most guys, when they truss these, they have to cut like 2 inches out of this. And I don't really want to, but I think I'm going to have to do that as well. Now there's still a lot of meat here. I'm not planning on running a truss though, so I might end up just cutting out where my mounts will go and see if I can get enough room there to get good solid welds onto the axle tube. That's going to be kind of a tricky one. Passenger side stuff's easy, driver side stuff is hard. Alright, so we're building our upper frame side 3-link mount here. And I'm just kind of going with it. I don't really have an exact plan. Basically, we're shooting for something like this to get our space off the frame, which none of that obviously is sitting right. And then I'm going to taper the back of this off to the frame so it's a self-gusseting mount. Then I'll have a piece in here too for lateral strength as well. So we'll be able to build this thing pretty strong. Should be able to handle everything just fine, I would think. But that's what we're going for. Alright, now I can show you a little better what I got going on. So I need a 2-inch space because the way I stepped the frame in, so I have to get that out 2 inches off the main frame rail. Back here is where I'm going to be mitering or cutting those, and then I don't know exactly what I'm going to do here, if I'm going to flat plate that or if I'll just try and add on a couple of angles there and bring that back, you know, all the way from there over. So that was terrible video. From here all the way over to here. So basically the piece I cut off of here, I can flip around, weld it on there and get it back. So give it a little bit more surface area. And then we'll piece that whole thing in there. So that's what we're going for, but that'll be our upper 3-link mount, or our frame mount. And that should work. All right, I'm finally back and I can work on this stuff. So I took this, or I made a few tacks. I have a washer for using as a spacer, but it's way too thick. I'm just trying to make sure that when I weld, this stuff doesn't draw in. So I ended up making myself out of a Red Bull can, making myself a small spacer that I can put in there, bolt all this stuff up snug, not super tight, and then hopefully when I go to pull it apart, that shim will be just enough to where I can still slide my links in and out without having problems. So we'll see how it works. I've never done it that way before, and there are tricks to welding, like tack it really good, weld your outsides first, and then go and do your insides, and that does help. But when I did my green Jeep, I did that, and it drew in really hard. They do slide in and out, but you got to kind of work with them. So anyway, so we're going to give this a try, give ourselves a little bit more space, and hopefully it works out. All right, so I did that kind of out of order. I got to make 6 more of these plates. I went ahead and finished them, or ground them and drilled them and everything, and then I made the template so I can mimic that. But that's the shape we're going to go for the frame side lower link mounts. Man, I wish I had a working plasma cutter right now. Cutting wheels don't cut very fast, they're 1/4 inch. Alright, I didn't video all the grinding, but there we go. There's all our lower link frame side tabs. I still got to drill those 6, but I wanted to get everything clamped together, locked together, and then I'll drill them all the way through, and we'll have those done. We'll have all 8 plates, and then we'll be piecing in between them once we get everything tacked on the frame, be boxing them in for strength. So we've got our upper mount, we got all of our lower mounts cut except the driver's side of the front. That needs some of the casting cut away before I can do it. So basically the only thing left to build, and our 3-link or 3rd link upper, you know, you've already seen that, it needs to be finished, but I'm just trying to get pieces built to slap in place. Got to build a little mini truss over the rear to be able to put upper link mounts on top of that. And then on the front, I wasn't going to truss this thing, but where I have to cut the cast, I think I probably better. So I'm going to build a low profile truss across there, and so I'll be cutting that mount back apart to do that. But I think it'll be needed just to be able to fit the coil springs in and make everything tie together nicely. So we're gaining, lots of grinding, but I don't have a plasma cutter, so that's the only way I can do it. Well, I just kind of learned a little trick. Didn't know this before. So all these pieces, these are all my lower link frame tabs. I started drilling these before I had to leave and go find my friend's kid out in the middle of nowhere. And so they were all soaked with WD-40. Well, they sat all night long, and you know, that mill scale is a pain to get off. And since those sat in WD-40 all night, that stuff comes off pretty easy now with the grinder. Let me see if I can film this. Normally, it doesn't come off that easy. That must loosen things up a little bit, which is nice. They clean up really good now. I hope you guys are enjoying it. If you would, you know, like, share. Don't even really have to share, but subscribe, write some comments. Every little thing, every bit of interaction helps, and I'd really appreciate any of it that I can get.